What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to 2022, where the mods have already begun. You see the thumbnail, you see the title. Today we're going to be installing Braum racing seats. Pretty sure they're the Elite series. The description will be in the bottom, or I'm sorry, link will be in the description below. Don't ask me, it's always in the description, never changes. That'll be in the description. I also have spacers that will be going with this because I've read reviews about the Braum seats sitting low, so that will be down in the description below. And then I also had to get some of my own hardware, which I'll explain, and then I got planted seat brackets, and that'll be down below. I will be separating all these videos. This will be all one video, but like I have a harness set up, I have a harness bar, that'll be separate, and then the removal and install of the seat will be separate. And I'm doing that so that way the videos aren't as long, and for the people that just want a certain part of it, they can get a certain part of it. So thank you guys so much for the support. My car has been in storage. It's now almost the end of March. Still cold, 18 degrees out, but I will be pulling the Camaro out soon to start modding it. And for those of you who wonder where I am, I tell you this every year. I store my car in October, usually till around April, May. All my mods will be in before May, before Automotive this year. It's May 20th for those of you who don't know, but you guys will see videos come out weekly. So bear with me because the first 4 videos you're going to see are going to be of the same thing almost, just different steps, and I'm doing that for a reason. So without delaying this video anymore, let's show you these seats and let's get right into this install. Alright guys, so these are the seats. This is the packaging it comes in. It's just a clear, it was a big box that came in. It's actually kind of disappointing because FedEx left it outside and it was raining, so the bottom got wet, but luckily the seats didn't get damaged. So it's got this nice plastic Braum covering on both of them. You get some stickers. For the hardware, they do come with dual locking sliders, which are right here. And I will show you how to put those on. There are some other videos out there. Not all of them are as clear. And Braum has other people's videos on their website. So they don't really have like a diagram that I could find. I called Braum because I got the hardware for the sliders to go to the seat. So like if you see, it's already screwed into the seat right here. So you just undo those, which we will go over, and you attach them to the sliders, but from the sliders to the actual brackets themselves, we do not have hardware, so I had to purchase my own, and I will go over what I purchased. So these are the dual track, that's for one seat, and then you have the bar for one seat, the other bar, and then your other dual tracks. I also got, because I am a short person, I'm 5'8", 1-inch spacers. So that's something that they're not too specific on how to install either. I read a lot of reviews that the Braum seats were sitting low, and I don't want to do that, especially for the Camaro, because if you have a Camaro, you know that the hood kind of sits high, at least for us short people. So I wanted to be a little higher up, and I didn't want to rig it in a way that wasn't safe. So I brought their 1-inch spacers, which are just longer bolts essentially. And this will go between the seat will be here, and then this will be the slider, and this will go through it. So you don't put this between the bracket and the slider, you put this between the seat and the slider. So I'll show you how to install those. That'll give me an inch higher raise. And then I also got some hardware from them, which are these guys. So I have a 5-point harness, and just in general, installing the shoulder straps on the bar is easy, but you're not gonna have anything to clip into on the side for your side lap belts. Some people will screw it into where your seatbelt buckle was and your seat belt, which is all good, but the ones that I have are clips, so you can't really do that. You either you have to install like these little circle things that they're like a circle nut that has a metal looper on it, and that's where you would clip the harness into, which you'll see in another video. But these allow me to have that little shape where it's meant to where if I bolt it in to where my seatbelt goes, which again, it'll make more sense where the clip is and where the actual seatbelt mount is holding itself. I can bolt those in with it, keep my original seatbelts just in case I get pulled over or something like that. And I can clip those clips, the cam locking harness, the clips that come with it, I can clip those into that. So that was a lot to explain, but I got 2 of these, or 4 of these. 2 of them are short, so the long ones will go towards the tunnel side. So essentially, if I was the driver's side, this will go towards my stick shift, and then the shorter one will go towards where my seatbelt is, just because there's more room there and there's less room between the seat and the center console here. So yeah, those are those. I'll post all of this in the description. Let's get these chairs unwrapped and let's get the brackets out. All right, and just like those are unwrapped, there goes my biggest fan. So these are really nice quality. I'm super glad I did this. There's other brands out there like Cypher and stuff like that, and some of them just get really expensive, and then the cheaper ones obviously sacrificing quality. So if you actually feel these, they feel nice. As you could tell, they sit super low. There goes your lever. You got the Braum logo. Everything just feels like it's not cheap, and this goes like the carbon fiber looking material. So if you actually turn the seat around, you can see it. So, and it's got like the zipper and stuff like that. I guess if you want to take it off maybe and clean it, it's got the Braum logo on the back. These are really nice. So this one will be the passenger, right? Because if you're the passenger, or actually this is the driver, because if you're the driver, that handle's got to be on the outside towards the door. And that's going to be the passenger, because if you're the passenger, that handle's got to be out towards the door. So just make sure you know the difference, because when we pull out our brackets, you're going to want to make sure you have the driver and passenger side right. Otherwise, your seatbelt line, if you plan on using your stock seatbelt, will be shifted. So that is how they look, which is really nice. So, all right, brackets next. And adding to the chaos of this clutter we have, here goes the planted seat brackets. So if anyone knows anything about the Camaro, our seats are different because we have the back bolts, which these are going to be hard to get to just because it's underneath this. Same thing on this side. That one's underneath. This one's a little more out. These are meant to fit directly in, but we have 2 bolts in the back, which I believe are T50s, I think, or T25s, one of those 2, which we'll find out when I get that video. But it tells you right here, passenger, and then if you look up here, it says driver, so they were nice enough to label it. You may as well leave those on because it's going to be covered anyways. So think about it, if this was the passenger side, we have the bolts in the back, and the Camaro has hooks in the front. So these are the hooks. So after you undo these in the Camaro seats, you literally lift the whole seat up, and it unhooks itself, and then you take the seat out. So for this, you would bolt this into the back after hooking the whole seat in. You'd bolt these into the back, and then this should be on the inside. So if you don't have this for some odd reason, know that this is on the inside, and these loops where the bolts go in are always the rear. So if this was the rear and we didn't have this, and this is on the inside, remember the seat belt is going to come across your shoulder and click into here. So this has to be the passenger. So you see how these are made. Again, these were 300 and something bucks for the set. Really nice material. And these are supposed to line right up with the sliders and stuff, which we will find out shortly. And then after that, after this is all bolted up, in the next video, you'll see just putting these seats in should be pretty simple. So let's get started. Okay guys, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take out these size 8 Allen bolts, and we'll just take them off, and you wanna leave that washer that comes with it, this guy right here, you wanna leave that on. All right, so after that's done, you wanna go ahead, you wanna grab your sliders, you wanna put those on. Now how these go on, for most cars, right, when you pull, if you have like a pull lever on your seat, you pull up to slide it, correct? Not down. So depending on how you put these on, is gonna depend whether you pull up or down. So what you wanna do is you wanna have these 3, so on the back side, so this is gonna be the side that actually goes into your seat. You have, just take a, remember how it looks. You got the 2 more oval shapes here, then you have the 3 dots and like a little divot that goes into your seat. So what you want facing up towards the rear of the seat is these 2 dots with a little divot and a big dot, and towards the front, you just want that 1 big dot and a divot. Now make sure that this guy, because this is what is gonna let your seat move, is facing the inside, right? So if you do this, well, how are you gonna get the handle on there if that's facing the outside? So kind of a little bit of common sense, right? These have to face the rear. Also, just make sure that the teeth are facing down towards the seat. So if you push this down right here, you can move this in and out. Make sure that the teeth are facing the seat. Make sure these 3 dots and this oval one or this divot, 2 dots and oval are facing the rear, and make sure that this is facing inward, right? Because your handle is going to be in the middle and you cannot get it wrong. That will allow you to pull on the handle and slide your seat. So it's going to take a little bit of messing around with, but you want to essentially figure out which holes are going to fit. I've already figured out that for me, it is the second one, I believe, and this last one. So if you come here, you see that this inner one is in, and then you kind of just slide it into where you can see both. And when that inner one is on the hole, if I look through these holes, I could see that it is on the outside hole over here. So we'll get these bolted up. And if you are not using spacers, you would just use the bolts that you took out. Okay, I'm using spacers. So how you install the spacers is you take the spacer, you're gonna put it in between this. So let's assume we're installing this side first. I would put the bolt in through the hole that I want, which is right there. I put my spacer in, that way it's between the rail and the seat, and then I tighten this up. And you don't ever want to tighten these all the way until you have all your holes matching, because if you do, then it's just going to be more difficult for you. So now that I have that loosely fitted, I'll go the opposite way. I'll take my other spacer, put it in, and then my other bolt, and I'll slide that through here, and I'll make sure that it lines up. And it does. So at that point, I will tighten those down completely. I'll tighten this one down completely, and I'm really just going hand tight and then a little more. I'll slide this down by hand. I'll tighten up this spot over here, that one, and that'll be set. All right, so now that this is in, if you look down here, you can see that this is in the farthest one, okay? The spacer's in, it's nice and tight. If you pull on this, which I can't really do with one hand, so I will set you back down. If you pull this and you slide this all the way down, which it already makes sense, right? Because if I'm pushing this up, this is already going up towards the seat. And you look over here, it is the second slot. This second oval slot that it's in. And then I have my spacers, and then I have my washer there. And then that one is pretty much all set to go. I can move it up, and I can move it down. So then we'll install the next one. You're gonna do it the same way. 3 facing the back. Obviously this is facing the inside. Teeth are going out back. Bolt it up the same way, and then I'll teach you, or show you how to put the handle on. All right, so as you can see, I have both of these guys installed, nice and snug, not gonna go anywhere, and these pins are facing the inside. So now you grab your rail, slide it out one side, whichever side you want to slide it out of, doesn't matter. What I did was I had the part, it's kind of like curved, if you look here, I had this part, instead of it facing down, I had it facing up. So if it's like this, it'll be facing the head, so easier for you to grab and you don't have to reach a little further. Essentially, you take this, I put the top part in first, and then it's kind of just goes in there by pressure, which would be a little hard to get. And then once it's in, it'll sit in place, and then you will tell if you did a good job, because this should go up like that. So when this is up, these are able to move. So next, we will put on your seat bracket and make sure that that goes on the right way. This is the driver's seat, so we will be grabbing the driver planted bracket and putting that on. But this is all set, ready to go, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, so what I did was I put my seat on my couch with a pillow. That way the head of the seat is not on the ground and it's like squishing it. Like the first time I did it, I put it somewhere where the head was squishing on the ground and I didn't like it. So this is the driver's side again. If you flip this up in your mind, that handle right there is going to be on the outside towards the door, which means this seatbelt strap has to be towards the inside, correct? You really kind of can't fail. You put this on here and you just rest it on. That's the way it goes, because I already told you these holes go towards the rear and the hooks go towards the front. So this is the only way this can go on, and you'll know if it fits the right side, because this is your handle and your seatbelt strap, which is this guy, needs to be opposite of your handle. So at that point, this is already on the right way. So pretty much what you do is you try and line up these holes as best as you can, and you loosely fit them. So that one's lined up, that one's lined up. Over here we have nothing, and over here we have it partially. So you kind of just keep finagling until you get it exactly where you want. And I think that's gonna be it. So you got a hole there, you got a hole up top there, you got a hole there, and you got a hole there. So what you do is you loosely fit them, and I'll show you what I bought to fit them. Loosely fit each single one to get it in. And then after you get them all in, loosely fitted, then you tighten them down. And I say loosely because when you start getting it over here, it gets difficult. I already did the passenger one, and when you get over here, sometimes these, you see how that's close to this bar? When you try and put the nut through, the bar is gonna not let you thread it through. So that's why you loosely fit it to where you can mold it or like move it around, and then once you get the nut on, it doesn't matter if you scoot it over because the nut's already low. I don't know if that makes sense, but you'll see it once I'm finished. But let's show you the stuff that I bought, the hardware I bought to do it. All right, sorry, that was my dog. So the stuff I got was a M8 with a 1.25 pitch bolt from Ace Hardware. I think all of this stuff ended up costing me like 20 something bucks. I won't be putting this in the description because you guys can go and look at your own hardware store to figure this out. It will not zoom. There you go. That's what that looks like. Okay, and then you have a whiz nut, they call it, which is a locking nut, which fits this. And then I got a regular washer, and then I got a locking washer. Now that might be a little excessive, but I want to make sure my seat's not moving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the locking washer on my bolt. That's going to come up or down towards the bottom. And then my nut is going to go on this, and this will thread like this. And essentially I'm doing that because the hole up top that this is going to go through is not as big. So when we're up here, this washer, you see how big this hole is? On the bottom, the M8 fits in nice and snug, but on the top, it doesn't. It can move around and stuff like that. And this nut is literally almost right on the edge of this. So I got the washer to like spread out the weight. So I'll show you what that looks like when we're ready to tighten up. I'm just gonna put all 4 of these in and I'll show you. Also, another thing I will say before you finish tightening this down is make sure that these guys, when you go to tighten, you're gonna have to slide this out to get the bolt in. Obviously, you can't do it because this is 2 sides, so you have to slide this out to get the bolt in. And same thing when you do the back, you're gonna have to slide them both back. Make sure that these are the same distance out. Like I counted the notches, there's 11 notches out, and on this side there's 11 notches out. If they're not the same size or same amount of distance out and one's shorter, when you go to slide back, one side's gonna wanna go further than the other side. Like if you go all the way to the back, this side will lock and that side's gonna still be able to go further. So you don't wanna do that. You wanna make sure that these are the exact same distance out. All right guys, these are all set in place, and before I go any further, I'd like to point out that I did contact Braum and they said that they do offer the kit, you just have to purchase it. So you'll just get these regular bolts that come with it, not the spacers. I bought these separately. You'll get the regular bolts, and then he said if you want like the bracket hardware kit, they have it. I just bought my stuff from Ace. So you can get it from Braum, and I'm sure this might not be what they do, but this is what I'm doing. So perfect example, these are in all loosely fitted. You see how this one's super close to that edge? Like you're probably saying, well, how did you get the nut on there? Like there's no way you got the nut on there. So that this is why you loosely fit them. When this is out here, you kind of just turn that bolt sideways, get the nut on, and screw it all the way down to where you can put it down. And it'll clear low at the low end, but it won't clear at the high end. So you kind of gotta, again, finagle it. This guy's in, and then this one's in. So then now I will tighten them and I'll show you how it slides. Okay guys, and we're all done. So also these nuts, I know you said you got to thread them up with the bolts, you get the M8s, but these are 13 mil nuts, and I already said that the Allen key was an 8 for in metric. So this is all snug and tight, and I am confident that it is not going to move anywhere. And just to like test it at the end, you kind of just pull this up, right? Because that's where you would pull it. If you were sitting down, you pull it towards you, you pull it up, and this should move. I think I'm already far up, so. Okay, so I just want to show you how it works. This gets pushed down, right? If I was sitting in the chair, it'd be up, and then just like a regular chair, you want to give it a chance to lock, and it moves. Right, so that would be me scooting up the chair. If I want to scoot the chair as far back as I can go, I lock it up, and if you go, it stops right there, and right here, if you pull hard, it's gonna take a little bit to lock. That time it locked, but it'll take a little bit to lock because you're not putting any weight back on it, and it has to grab a tooth. So if you go too far up and you rip it back, you see how that it went a couple times, it's gonna take a little bit to lock. So don't think something's broken, because that happens in production cars. So these are on right. It looks good. I couldn't be happier with it. I was a little sketched about the 1-inch spacer at first, but I mean, after tightening everything up, I mean, as tight as I could, I mean, these things seem solid, and the seats already seem like they sit higher, which is what I want. So that's pretty much the install. I'll show you what they look like sitting on the ground, and that'll wrap up the video. All right, so this is how it's gonna look when it's on the ground. This one's a little bit cocked forward, but man, I can't tell you like the difference it makes. Sorry, my dog Kennel's in the back. I mean, it sits way higher already, and it just looks good. I mean, the seat feels comfortable. You know, me sitting in it. I mean, like look at my legs. Like my legs are perfectly bent. The seat hugs you, and I'll come out with a review video later. But man, it is freaking nice. So that's done. I think all this stuff together cost me around 1,100 bucks. So kind of expensive. But and then imagine the harnesses were, I think another 300. I think it was one something a piece. And then the harness bar was, so it is around damn near $2,000 for this setup. So anyways, as usual, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned to see the seat removal and re-putting these seats in. And then again, it'll be a separate video to install the harnesses. It'll be a separate video to install the harness bar. But by the time you guys see it, technically it'll all be done because this needs to be ready for Automotion. So by the time you see this in May, this is all already done. All my mods are already done, ready for Automotion. It's just the videos come out week after week. So thank you guys so much for watching. As usual, I'm continuing to grow, and I really appreciate the love and support. And you guys know that. I mean, again, I couldn't explain to you how much I appreciate it. I can't believe I am where I am today. I feel like yesterday I had 20 subscribers, and today I have almost 1,500. So I appreciate all you guys. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video. Comment if you have any questions. Please like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you guys for the next video. Bye.
Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my